Hello, Bengal fans, and thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Bengals in Paradise. I am Chasten Scott. You can also follow me on X at SinCity808. Really appreciate it to everyone. Thank you. Now, today's video, I'm basically going to be talking about the comments that Trey Hendrickson said today on the Pat McAfee show, and I'll also be breaking down some more of free agents that are going to hit the open market come March and who I think Bengals should target when that day comes. But before I get into that, if you guys please like my content, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you to everyone again. Now let's dive into the Trey Hendrickson comments today. So he basically said that he is not in the loop when it comes to communication with him and the Bengals front office, and he said he got a text from his dad that basically said, what they're trying to tell him. Now, I've been a diehard Bengals fan for 20 years now, and I feel like the one thing that still frustrates me to this day as a fan is the fact that they don't communicate well. And to me, communication is the number one key. Like, to give you guys like a little backside story, I was a manager for a company, and the number one thing that I stressed to my employees was communication, because communication is so important when it comes to running a business and just how employees feel treated. With communication, if you keep them in the loop with things, it basically tells your employee that they feel wanted, they feel like they're in the know, and they feel appreciated over there. And whenever you communicate that, or whenever you communicate to an employee about how to do a specific thing, that just shows them the proper way and how to do things, and they just feel happy that they're working for that specific place. I always stress communication, because if not, things could go haywire and there could be some disinterest with the company. They could feel like they're not welcome with the company. They just will probably feel unhappy if they're not communicated properly. And so that's like the number one thing that I always stressed when it came to myself and employees. And when it comes to the Bengals, a $1 billion franchise, you would think communication would be the number one thing, not just for them, but particularly for everybody. But when the players are coming out like this and saying that they're finding out from their dad, yada yada, when it comes to the Bengals, it's very frustrating to hear that. I feel, especially when it comes to their superstars, that they should at least give them some sort of communication. Let them know where things stand between them, where things stand with how they feel about you, because that lets them know that you feel appreciated, that you're important, you're a part of this organization. And quite frankly, it's very sad to hear that Trey is not in the know with what the Bengals are typically, what they want to do come this offseason with him. Whether it's if they're gonna trade him, if they're gonna try to extend him, if they're gonna, they have to figure out something. And even if they're still in the process of doing so, I feel like there needs to be some sort of communication, because Trey is your top 5 Bengal player right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is one of your superstars on your team. So treat him as such. Make him feel like he's appreciative, that you guys want to retain him. You guys want to do by all means to extend him. So let him know that. It makes no sense that you guys don't tell him anything and he's just questioning whether or not he's going to even be with the Bengals come next season. And he clearly stated in this interview today that he's perfectly fine if traded to another team, But he also clearly stated that he wants to be a part of this Bengals future moving forward. He wants to win a Super Bowl with this team. So I feel when it comes to the Bengals, they just need to find a way to communicate better to their players, especially their superstars. I just feel like that's quite frustrating when you hear this from players and they're not knowing what's going on, and they want answers, and I get it. As a previous manager and also an employee, I understand both sides to it. It is frustrating when you're not in the loop and you're just questioning everything surrounding yourself. Like, am I in a good spot? Is what's gonna happen next? If all types of questions just play in your head. So I totally understand where Trey Hendrickson is coming from. So I just hope Bengals can clarify that and just keep him in the bud and just let him know where things stand right now. Free agency is coming around the corner. It's literally, a month from now. So I just hope they find some sort of ground, like I said, when it comes to what they want to do with Trey and what they're trying to work on. So I feel like they need to, when it comes to that, I feel like they need to communicate with Trey. They need to communicate with T. They need to communicate with Jamar. And what's crazy is those three players that I mentioned are also their three most important players that need to be paid outside of Joe Burrow and Orlando Brown Jr. To me, those are the top 5 Bengal players as of today on the Bengals roster. So I feel like they need to communicate better when it comes to talking with Jamar, talking with T, talking with Trey on where things stand as of today, February 5th. So, like I said, where all this stands, it's very frustrating. And we probably wouldn't have known what was going on with Trey if he didn't speak out in his interview today with Pat McAfee. And finding out also that Joe Burrow is going to be interviewing on First Take tomorrow, that's going to make things really interesting. I know time and time again how much times Joe has stated in press conferences and in interviews that he wants these players to be paid and they deserve every penny worth, and he stated that T is a need and they would love to have Trey Hendrickson around, and he doesn't need to speak Jamar because Jamar's game speaks for itself. He doesn't need to defend himself. Jamar should be, in my opinion, the highest paid non-quarterback player in NFL history as of today. So it's gonna be interesting what Joe says tomorrow. I'm clearly they're gonna ask him the typical questions about Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe. That's what I love about Joe. He's very blunt. He's gonna answer your questions straight up with 100% honesty, and I'm curious to see what he says. He's probably gonna be saying the same exact things that he'd been saying, the past couple of days, weeks, and months. How T's a need. They need to do anything and everything to re-sign him. And he's probably going to say the same with Trey and Jamar. So, like I said, it's going to be a real interesting interview when Joe is discussing all those topics with First Take tomorrow. But we'll see. Me as a fan, I stated in my previous videos and in my previous tweets on X that they need to find a way to pay all of their superstars. It's no point in letting your superstars go when you're on the cusp of, making it to the Super Bowl again, to win championships. Like I said, you need to build around your superstars, not let them walk. A la Steve Reader and Jesse Bates. They need to find a way to retain their superstars. You always model your philosophy, Bengals, as draft, develop, retain. Well, you drafted T, you developed T, now go ahead and retain T. There should be no excuses in not doing so. Find an agreement and don't lowball, because Bengal fans, as we all know, Bengals are really famously known for lowballing players. So I just hope that, I always say this, they change their ways when it comes to business decision makings, and just try to find, some sort of agreement when it comes to your superstars. Pay your superstars. It's not rocket science, I just feel like they need to just stop lowballing and stop negotiating with the way that they've been doing in years, because if they continue to do so, I don't want to say it, but I could see a scenario where T just straight up walks and signs elsewhere in free agency. I could see a scenario where they lowball Trey Hendrickson. Trey doesn't like that, and you're gonna have to eventually end up trading him. I could see a scenario where they don't find an agreement again with Jamar Chase, and he's probably gonna hold out again in the offseason. I do not want to think of all the negativity. I want to think of all the positive outcomes that could happen. I just hope that they find common ground with these superstars and pay them at the end of the day. I know it's easier said than done, don't get me wrong, but they just need to find a way at the end of the day to pay their stars. And when it comes to paying their stars, they just need to find a way to build around them, because this team is so close to winning a championship. And I'm not being biased. There was so much flaws when it came to this season's team, yet we still ended up with a winning record. They just have to find the little things, and we all know, Bengal fans, what the little things are, and addressing the little things. And if those things are addressed when it comes to front office decision making, when it comes to paying their superstars, wherever it's fixing the defense, it's fixing the offensive line, all these issues, if they can find a way to upgrade these things, then I truly believe Bengals are going to be back in the Super Bowl, and who knows from there. But like I said, they need to find a way to pay their superstars and approach business decision makings differently, because it's just not working out in these past couple of years. And as a Bengal fan, it's frustrating when you see like the Philadelphia Eagles, how they operate and how they pay their superstars and how they give the players the guaranteed amount of money, because I wish they could see that on how Eagles operate and maybe try to change their philosophy when it comes to those kind of things. But time will tell. And all you can do as a Bengal fan is just hope and pray that they see these changes, these flaws, and they can do the necessary things to make these kind of changes during the offseason. So that was basically my rant on when it came to the Trey Hendrickson comments that he shared today. And like I said, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued on what Joe is going to be saying tomorrow in his latest interview. But moving along, I want to talk about basically more free agent targets that Bengals could possibly be pursuing this offseason. I had a video, I believe a week ago, basically breaking down some free agent targets who I think would be perfect fits for the Bengals. Like when it came to the guard positions, I basically broke down, Will Fries, Tevin Jenkins, and all that. But there's a couple of kind of the under the radar free agents that I feel too could be fits for the Bengals. And starting with the guard position, why not a Kevin Zeitler reunion? Jay Morrison posted earlier on X that Bengals attempted to try to sign him back in 2021, but lowballed him. Why am I not surprised with that, honestly? But if they can like I said, if they can find a common ground when it comes to players and, I would love that signing. Why not a Kevin Zeitler reunion? Bring him back. He's I believe he's 35 years old, and he's not showing 1 ounce of declining. He's still balling at this age, and it's amazing to see. So why not bring Kevin on board so he can man the right guard spot? And he's familiar with the Bengals. Bengals are familiar with him, and clearly he'll be an upgrade over Alex Cappa. Sorry, Alex, still love you, but Kevin would be a clear upgrade over him. So why not a reunion? I'll be totally on board with it, and I believe he's making $6 million this season, so he would not come at a high hefty price. If you could bring him on board for say like a 2-year $10 to $12 million deal, why not? He'll be a clear upgrade, and he would man the right guard spot in an instant, and he would already uplift the offensive line room and make them better. So why not? I'm totally on board with bringing back Kevin Zeitler. He shouldn't have been gone in the first place. Make things right with him. I feel like you guys should have retained him from the first time he was in free agency, but things didn't happen that way. So why not right the ship? Bring him back. I'll be totally on board with that. I love Kevin Zeitler, and he, like I said, he's not showing any signs of declining, and it's beyond me how he's doing it, especially at that age. So I'm all on board for bringing him back, maybe for a 1-2 year deal. And I mentioned before too on X and in my videos Dalton Risner, but I just feel like he would be another perfect piece to that puzzle when it comes to offensive line room. And again, someone that wouldn't break the bank. It's quite a mystery as to why Dalton Risner is always he always seems to be in the market, and for whatever reason, no team is interested in signing him come until training camp. It's beyond me. Dalton Risner is a real solid player, and he's a great pass protector. So it's again another player that would not break the bank, that you could get kind of in the same tier as a Kevin Zeitler. So why not? If you sign Dalton Risner to play the left guard spot and you sign Kevin Zeitler to play the right guard spot, you realize that will basically be the best line that Joe Burrow has ever had in his career. When you look at it from left to right, you would have Orlando Brown at left tackle, you would have Dalton Risner at left guard, you would have Ted Karras at center, you would have Kevin Zeitler at right guard, and Amarius Mims at right tackle. To me, that offensive line that I just mentioned, that would be fire. I would absolutely love that starting lineup, and it would not break the bank. It would be mid-tier free agent signings, which the Bengals love to do. So why not do that kind of signings? And you can still draft some linemen to develop them and eventually take over their spots in a year or two. So why not bring in those players that can still contribute and can still play at a really good level? So I am all for signing Dalton Risner and Kevin Zeitler, if not both one. And I just feel like those guys won't be splashes, will be real solid signings when it comes to the Bengals making these offseason moves. And flipping over to the tight end position, the Mike Gesicki thing is real interesting. I know he wants to be back. I know he wants to play with Joe, and I know he wants to win. But at the same time, he also wants to be paid, and I totally get where he's coming from. By all means, Mike, if someone offers you that bag, go ahead and get it. But I hope Mike knows that being in Cincinnati was the best opportunity for him, and if he wants to win now, he would know that leaving Cincinnati, in my opinion, would be a mistake. You would be playing alongside Jamar and possibly T, and you have Chase Brown in the backfield. Like, what more can you ask for? It's such a explosive offense. Wouldn't you want to be a part of that? So, especially with number 9 throwing you the ball, I don't know. I would like to think that Mike sees it that way, and he would chase the ring more than chase the money. So, time will tell. But if Mike decides to move on, and I won't knock him for it, but if he does decide to move on, I would like to try to see if they can possibly sign Tyler Conklin. I know they tried to a few years back. I know they're interested in him, but unfortunately he signed with the Jets. That was the same year that CJ Zamo signed with the Jets as well. I know they're interested in trying to bring him on board, but Jets probably gave him more money, so you can't fault him for that. But why not go after Tyler Conklin again? He's a tight end too that puts up solid numbers and someone who will bring the bank. He's gonna be 31 years old, I believe, this offseason. So if Mike Gesicki decides to leave, a replacement that I feel would be a perfect fit would be Tyler Conklin. But time will tell. But he's another free agent target that you could possibly be looking at if Gesicki decides to leave and Bengals, lowball him. Time will tell. And then moving along on the defensive side of the ball, when it comes to the defensive line, I've always stated that they should make a splash in the interior, and I always keep preaching this. I would love if Bengals made a splash and signed either Milton Williams or Osa from Dallas Cowboys. Those two I feel like would be perfect matches for the Bengals. But if they don't go that route in free agency and try to go for someone more of the mid-tier signings, what they basically do, the free agency class really isn't that deep. There's actually like a big drop off, like after Milton and after Osa, then you got Levi from Detroit, and after that it's like a real kind of big drop off. So it's hard for me, because when it comes to the defensive tackle positions in free agency, those 3 guys that I mentioned, Milton, Osa, and Levi, those are the 3 guys that I would want the most. And other than that, it's kind of like, pick your poison at that spot. There really isn't much out there besides those 3. And when it comes to the defensive end position, I stated, Azeez Ojulari from the Giants, Malcolm Kuntz is kind of under the radar if they were to go that way. Baron Browning, I mentioned in my previous video, from Cardinals. He was traded to Arizona. He's originally drafted from Denver. I feel like he'll be a perfect fit. Another guy too, especially that now we have their linebacker coach, Mike Hodges from the Saints. I feel like Chase Young would be another fit for the Bengals. And especially playing with Mike Hodges, Mike can give his 2 cents about how Chase did there at New Orleans. And I feel like it'll be a perfect fit. Chase Young is another player who will not command top dollar, but he is a solid player. He is solid, like all around game. He's good at rushing the passer, and he's also good at stopping the run. So, and he's only 25 years old. He turns 26 this season, so he's still young. Plenty of room to grow. And I feel, especially with the new hiring of Jerry Montgomery, which he is known for developing young players and bringing out the best in them, why not bring a Chase Young? You could possibly be getting a steal with Chase, not paying him top dollar, but yet him playing like at an elite level. Why not? I'm totally on board with Chase Young. So I could see that scenario happening with Chase Young. And there's other players in free agency, but when it comes to edge, those are the players that I am targeting. Baron Browning, Aziz, Chase Young, basically these young players that didn't reach their full potential yet, and players that are still like technically coming off their first contracts, and that's something that I know Bengals love to do, that they love to target, is players coming off their first contract and are still young, still in their prime, and still see that they can bring out the best in them. But other than that, that's basically today's video, is me breaking down more free agents. And believe me, Bengal fans, there are gonna be much more Bengal targets out there that I'll share with you, and who I feel would be perfect fits, perfect signings. But right now, I just want to kind of give you like a quick free agent list on who I think Bengals should target as of today. And I hope you enjoy this video, Bengal fans. If you guys, like I said, if you guys can give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, greatly appreciated. I'll probably be making a new episode of Bengals in Paradise soon. But until then, Bengal fans, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And leave a comment in this video about other free agents that you think would fit and who you think Bengals should sign. So please share, drop a comment, and tell me who you guys feel would be perfect targets and why. And also kind of tell me, like, if you was the front office, who would you want to see them bring in? So please, Bengal fans, drop a comment. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Hoo day.